Oh hey guys! As you can see, today I'm in the kitchen. Why am I in the kitchen, do you ask? Well, I'm just cooking up this week's episode of the 135th Border Models Panzer IV War Panzer. Come take a look! Well, that's enough of that silliness. In this episode, the third in my Panzer IV F.1 War Panzer series, we're going to be taking a look at how I did the tracks. And I am in the kitchen as I'll need access to a kettle and some running water. First of all, you'll need a suitable container, and of course, most importantly, a solution. I'm going to be using the VMS Black Track Pro system. There's an activating bath and a blackening bath, and I'll show you how to use these in the video. This is my first time working with metal tracks, so it's all a bit of a journey for me. Anyway, let's get started. I poured my VMS activating bath into my plastic container. The tracks were then carefully placed in. Once I placed the tracks in, they weren't completely covered, so I poured the rest of the activating bath in. All air bubbles need to be removed from the tracks, otherwise the solutions won't work. I scrubbed them with a toothbrush to try and get the worst out. After the tracks had soaked in the activating bath for 20 minutes, 10 on each side, they were rinsed under running water to clean the solution off. The remaining solution was poured back into the bottle to be used another time. For the next step, the tracks needed to be completely dry. They were placed on a paper towel to wick away any excess water, and also dried with a hairdryer. Right, let's stick the kettle on. Whilst the kettle was boiling, I poured in 50 ml of the blackening bath into a jug. Heat is needed for the chemical reaction, and the directions say it's made a bit like tea, and I've got plenty of experience with that, so this should be no problem. Once the kettle had boiled, I poured in 200 ml of the hot water into the jug. The tracks were then carefully placed into the solution. I once again agitated the tracks with a toothbrush to make sure there weren't any air bubbles. On screen this is all happening in real time, so you can see as the tracks start to blacken. It looks like it needs a bit longer. The tracks were left in the solution for just over 4 minutes. When they were ready, I took them out and put them on a paper towel. This was just to check and make sure that all surfaces had been covered. The tracks again were then washed under some running water. The light brown areas on the tracks are just a side effect of the chemical process. These will be removed shortly. I gave the tracks an initial scrub with a toothbrush to get rid of some of the mucky stuff. Once the tracks were dry, they were given another scrub with a damp toothbrush to help get rid of the rest of the calcification. So, this is how the tracks came out with just the blackening solution. I think they look really good. There are a few more steps though before I can call them finished. There were one or two areas where the activation bath obviously didn't touch the metal because of air bubbles. It doesn't matter though, this can be covered up with paint or weathering. I added some wear to the tracks on the contact areas with a medium grit sanding stick. For now, I kept this on the inside of the tracks. I'll do the outside later. Right, let's start some weathering. I used two pigments for this, VMS Fresh Rust and VMS Track Brown. This was mixed with the enamel binder. I carefully mixed in some of the pigments with the enamel binder and thinned it slightly with some white spirit. The pigments were applied in a sludge wash style, randomly to all of the tracks. I tried to keep the application of the different colours random and natural looking. Once the pigment wash had dried, I sanded the outside of the tracks with a soft sanding stick. The tracks were pinned back together with the wire supplied in the through set. The tracks were then put back on the model. This was a bit of a challenge, but I got there in the end. You've probably noticed that I haven't done any mud effects to the tracks. This will be tackled in the weathering video. And that's it for the tracks on my Vorpanzer. Check back soon for the next video, the weathering. I also want to say a big thanks to my patrons. Thanks for supporting my work. If you're interested in becoming a patron, click the card in the corner. Also, thank you for watching. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, why not? And also leave a comment telling me how I did. I just wanted to throw this picture in here. It's the 135th Copper State Minerva armoured car that I just finished. And this is the reason the video is a little late, but it was well worth the build. Unfortunately I didn't film it, but I will be doing a video on one very soon. Anyway, here are the gallery pictures of the Panzer IV. I've enjoyed doing this video series so far, and I hope you'll join me for the last video, the weathering. That'll be out soon. I'll see you in the next one.